A new federal complaint filed over allegations of sexual misbehavior from a Frenchtown music teacher. Concerns about local traffic on Main Street in downtown Kalispell. And a dynamite snowplower enjoys a white Christmas in the Northeast.
Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on KPAX, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Dennis Bragg. Jill Valley and Don Fisher are off tonight. A Pulse woman is dead and 2 others injured after a crash on Highway 93 near the town of Ravalli. Montana Highway Patrol responded to the 2-vehicle crash just before 3 p.m. this afternoon. According to MHP, the 65-year-old Polson woman driving a Subaru Legacy was northbound when she crossed the center line for unknown reasons and collided with a Toyota FJ Cruiser with 2 people inside. MHP reported the crash was at the intersection of US 93 and North Valley Road at the south end of the S-curves coming into Ravalli. The woman, whose name has not yet been released, was pronounced dead on the scene. The 2 occupants in the Toyota were taken to St. Patrick's Hospital in Missoula for treatment. Their conditions are unknown. MHP says everyone involved in the crash was wearing their seat belts and alcohol and drugs were not suspected. While crews took care of the crash, both lanes on Highway 93 were slowed for nearly 4 hours this evening. And some expect travel impacts later this week as we have more snow in the forecast. For more on what to expect, let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Aaron Yost for the first forecast. Aaron?
Yeah, today was our break in between weather systems. We are going to see a lot more activity here the second half of the week. So if travel plans have you either coming or going, you are going to want to allow some extra time, especially at pass level. Hamilton today, our First Security Bank iCam, showing you some of that fresh snow. Of course, a lot of today has been very quiet. We have seen some flurries from time to time, but we're going to hold off on the big stuff until tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to start to see some light snow moving into the region. We could see a couple of quick inches for some folks, but the big show, so to speak, will show up Thursday, Friday into early Saturday. Most impacts will be felt in the mountains, where we could be measuring all this in feet. I've got more details coming up.
In other news tonight, Frenchtown High School and Superintendent Randy Klein face a new complaint over the alleged inappropriate sexual behavior of Frenchtown music teacher Troy Basher. Documents filed in federal court claim that since 2014, multiple female students have reported uncomfortable and harassing behaviors by Basher, and that the school and Klein failed to take these accusations in take any action because of those. MTN's Kent Lutzen has been following the story today and joins us now with the latest. Kent?
Dennis, the student is also asking for a jury trial. Court documents filed by Jane Doe and her parents state that the school district and Klein, quote, chose to ignore the reports of Mr. Basher's predatory behavior and failed to take any measures to protect female students at Frenchtown High School from harm. The complaint further states that, quote, as a direct result of these failures, Basher sexually harassed and assaulted Doe. The student says she faced harassment, bullying, and threats by other Frenchtown students and staff loyal to Mr. Basher, and that months of bullying and retaliation forced Doe to leave Frenchtown School District and has resulted in ongoing mental and emotional distress. Klein said in March he's satisfied with the internal investigation the school conducted regarding both cases, but Missoula County's investigation found enough information to charge Basher in Missoula County Justice Court. MTN reached out to the school's attorney, but the attorney hasn't had a chance to review the case. Back to you, Dennis.
Thanks, Kent. Frenchtown High School and Randy Klein have 21 days to respond to those court summons. If found guilty in the criminal case, Basher faces 6 months in jail and or a $500 fine. His next court appearance is coming up in January. The sentencing of a former Florence doctor convicted on more than 20 counts, including negligent homicide, is being postponed for several weeks. A Ravalli County District Court jury convicted Dr. Chris Christensen after a trial that lasted for more than a month in a Hamilton courtroom last month. Christensen was found guilty of nearly all charges, including overprescribing and misprescribing prescription drugs and the death of 2 patients. The charges stem from a raid on Christensen's clinic in Florence nearly 4 years ago. Christensen faced penalties that total more than 400 years in jail, as well as fines that could go as high as $50,000. Christensen had originally been scheduled for sentencing Wednesday, but that date had been reset for January. Now, the Ravalli County Attorney's Office said today sentencing might not happen until February, with a new date still to be scheduled. Given the complexity of the case and the holidays, it's not unexpected it would take longer to complete pre-sentence reports for Christensen, who was brought back to court to learn his fate. The man accused of operating a prostitution ring in Missoula and Billings involving teens is arraigned today on new charges. 35-year-old Terrence Edwards pled not guilty in U.S. District Court in Billings to a new 11-count indictment accusing him of promoting prostitution. Prosecutors say Edwards trafficked at least 6 victims, including 3 minors. The victims told investigators Edwards would abuse them if they didn't go along with his scheme. One woman said Edwards forced her to walk the streets of Salt Lake City until she had sex with as many as 20 customers in one night. Prosecutors say other crimes took place in Utah and Washington. Edwards is being held in the Yellowstone County Jail. Spokane police arrest a woman in connection to last week's fatal shooting of a Butte woman in an apartment complex in the lower South Hills. The 23-year-old Ann Carpenter is facing charges in connection with the shooting of 59-year-old Danette Kane, who was killed and another person critically injured in that shooting on West 10th Avenue. The suspect ran away from the scene. Carpenter was arrested near Northtown Friday night. Kane was the owner of the apartment complex where the incident happened. Carpenter is being held at the Spokane County Jail on 1 count of first-degree murder and 1 count of first-degree assault. In the Flathead, Kalispell leaders know it's going to take cash to carry out their plans for revitalizing downtown, and that's why they've included a provision for a tax increment financing district, or TIF, in the 57-page plan. A TIF district is a tool that allows municipalities to use increased tax value where it's being taken from. It's used in many places in Montana to spur economic growth, especially in Missoula. A TIF district builds tax revenue on buildings due to new development, with the increase in those taxes going directly back into paying for projects in that district, rather than taxes going to the city, county, or school district coffers. A TIF in downtown Kalispell would be used to pay for a lot of the projects that are in that plan. Just some of those include things like improved infrastructure, public parking, business grants, demolition of old buildings, preserving historic downtown buildings, and new parks. Kalispell already is using a TIF district to help in the core area to relocate Cenex, Northwest Drywall, and Roofing Company and build the pedestrian trail. City Planning and Building Director Tom Gent says the results aren't immediate, but over time the TIF approaches work well in Montana communities.
Local communities in Montana have used it for incredibly positive results. It takes a while to build this funding tool, but council supports these types of things. It's a local tool helping local businesses.
Another aspect of this downtown plan is the future of Main Street. Now, it's still designated as Highway 93, even with completion of the bypass, and the Montana Department of Transportation wants to keep it that way. However, there are local concerns about traffic. During public comment periods before the plan was passed, it became clear to City Council that traffic volume and commercial trucks were a big concern with local residents and businesses who want Main Street treated as more of a street than a highway. Currently, to get traffic through downtown, MDT has 4 driving lanes, 2 parallel parking lanes, narrow sidewalks, and no left turns to ease traffic flow. In the new downtown plan, the newly designed Main Street would have the sidewalks widened by an additional 6 feet, only 1 lane of traffic in each direction with 1 turn lane in the middle, and expanded parking. Some may think that cutting lanes might make downtown more congested, but Tom Gent says it isn't about reducing traffic, but accommodating those who actually want to spend time downtown.
We don't want more traffic. We don't want less traffic. We want the right traffic. We want people who want to be in the main street in our downtown area. We want them to have an opportunity to come through and be part of the downtown, as opposed to just being a highway where we're just pushing people through as fast as they can go. That's not the dream that we have for our downtown. That's not our vision.
Jens adds that all the details in the 57-page document are simply a vision or template for people to see what they like or dislike. None of the plan is set in stone, nor have any dates been set to physically make those changes. Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks hosting public comment periods to gather input from hunters on future season dates and rules over the next 2 years. There will be meetings held across the entire state, 4 of them in January, specifically for Region 1 in northwest Montana. One of the many proposals there is a citizen initiative seeking a new limited draw for mule deer bucks in a section of the Fisher River in Hunting District 103 near Libby. If approved, the draw permits would be limited to about 5 to 15 per year. State biologists say the proposal would reduce opportunity for hunters and most likely not grow the mule deer population. But the citizen proposal is aiming to increase the age and size of the bucks before they're hunted. Montana FWP Region 1 Wildlife Manager Neil Anderson says the department doesn't set the regulations, the commission does, and public comment periods like this are important for those wanting to voice their opinions.
The commission is a citizens body that's appointed by the governor and approved by the legislature. And so those are the folks, those are the decision makers. So this is the public's opportunity to get their voices heard and let the commission hear what they'd like to see and how they'd like their resources managed.
Public meetings for Region 1 will take place in Kalispell, Trout Creek, Libby, and Eureka next month. You can see those dates and times there, and we also have that information up on our website. The deadline to submit comments is 5 p.m. on January 24th. The FWP Commission will review comments and recommendations and adopt final regulations in February. Coming up, Aaron says more snow in the forecast later in the week. Find out how much more coming up. And this man takes an unconventional approach to plowing snow. Why not if you could do it? Stay with us for that story here on MTN.